All right, Nick. So my first question for you is, what problem do you solve for a company?
So I help companies either build out their data infrastructure if they don't have basically good reporting tools in place or clean data. But if and once they do have clean data and good reporting tools in place, I help them out with ad hoc analytics reporting solutions. I'll help them build dashboards in Looker or Tableau or whatever tool that they use. And I also help out with some financial modeling from time to time, depending on the needs of the client.
That's great. Can you give me an example of like a recent project that you've done that we can put what you just said into a really tangible example?
Yeah, so an example of one that I'm working on right now is a client that has kind of an archaic data infrastructure. All of their data is stored on premises, like in a database that they own and maintain. And so I'm helping the client basically reorganize a lot of the way that their data gets to their database. And once I help them get the data into a cleaner format in their database, I'm building Tableau dashboards so that they have clearer visibility into their business, specific areas of opportunity that they want to try to improve the business. I'm showing them basically where their highest and worst performers within the company are so that they can make strategic decisions accordingly.
That's great. And what would you say is the hardest part about this work?
I think the hardest part is that with data projects, there are a lot of different ways that you can do things. And so there's never going to be one correct solution for whatever the problem is. So a lot of it is actually like stakeholder relationship management so that you can make sure that when you're setting out to build something that's going to be used by people over the next several months to a year, you want to make sure that you're doing all of the planning up front and building things in a thoughtful manner so that they can be used for, that lengthy period of time to come. And I think that's probably the most challenging part, is just getting everybody on the same page from the starting point.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you just told me, but can you just repeat for the audience what made you go from working as a full-time employee to working as a consultant?
Yeah, for sure. So I've always been somebody that wants to be more entrepreneurial in nature. I like the idea of, being able to provide myself with multiple sources of income. And what really spurred me to make the jump from full-time employment to becoming an independent consultant was that I was going to have to move for my job when it made more sense for me and my fiance to stay put in Chicago, where I'm from. So that's when I kind of took the first leap to get a client. And when that went well, I decided to go full time, and I've been doing that ever since.
It's amazing. And how do you get your first client?
So my first client actually stemmed out of the boot camp. So it was through one of the people that I met in my cohort. And he just had a friend that needed some help with building dashboards for his team. And so it was only like a 5 to 10 hour a week project, but it was kind of the perfect setup where I could do nights and weekends while I was winding down my time with my full-time jobs. So yeah, it was a great setup, and definitely thanks to the boot camp for sure.
Amazing. We're glad we could help. That sounds really serendipitous.
Yeah, for sure. It was great the way it worked out. And my second client also came through an introduction from the boot camp too. So it wasn't
Wow,
until my third or fourth clients that I kind of branched out a little bit from the boot camp directly.
amazing. And leading on, how do you find new clients today?
It's mostly through word of mouth and networking. So I try to just stay in touch with people that I've worked with in the past and continuously follow up to see if they ever need work. I'm also in a group called Operators Guild, which is basically like a collection of professionals that it's basically a listserv, but they talk about the different problems that they're facing. And every now and then I'll find some work through there where somebody needs help on the data side of things. Um, and that's most of it. I've landed one client through cold outreach, but for the most part, it's been through people that I know.
All right. And how many clients do you have in like a particular moment? Like, what's the maximum number of clients that you're working with?
Yeah, so I'm working with 3 right now, and that's typically the maximum that I'll ever work with. I've worked with as few as 1 and as many as 3 at a time, and 3 definitely pushes the upper limits for just kind of my bandwidth and ability to focus on the client at hand.
Mhm.
But I've gotten a lot better at managing my time over the past year and a few months since I've been doing this. So I'm finding it a lot more manageable now than I did the first time that I worked with 3 clients at once.
That's great. Can you tell us some of the tactics that you have for time management so that you don't burn out?
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of it is being at first I was kind of nervous to do this, but being very clear with the client up front in terms of expectations of like when I'll be able to work, and more importantly, like the number of hours I'll be able to commit to in a week. And so there are times when like scheduling conflicts will naturally arise, but like I'm very clear with the client that like, if something's urgent, I'll address it today, but otherwise like I'm going to address it in my allotted time for the week. I don't really set aside a time during the normal working week that I won't have meetings. I think a lot of people do that, and I've considered it, but with that said, I try to stack my meetings to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, if possible, so that I can, basically use Thursday and Friday for like executing on any deliverables that I'm expected.
So, sorry, your voice just stopped. Like, I cannot hear you.
Oh, still?
You're back. You're back on.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so basically long story short, I don't put any exact like times in my contracts that I won't have meetings, but I do try to stack the front of the week so that I can focus the back half of the week on execution.
Got it. Perfect. Okay. So, final question for you. What does consulting enable for you outside of your work life?
Yeah, it enables me to have more like macro control over my lifestyle. So there's periods when I really want to get after it and earn as much money as I can and work extremely hard. And I'm kind of in one of those phases right now. And so like when I feel that motivation, it's great to be able to put your foot on the gas. But then there's times where I want to enjoy the holidays a little bit more, or maybe parts of the summer, and I can kind of level down a little bit during those periods as well. And so that's been the best part, is just being able to, I don't necessarily have a ton of control from like a week to week basis when I'm in the midst of a project, but you have more longer term control for sure. If you say that you want to have X, Y, and Z month with a little bit less on your plate than other months of the year. So it's been great from that perspective, and allows me just to like explore other potential business opportunities too.
It sounds amazing. Thank you so much for doing this, Nick. This was
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah, for sure.